Welcome, everybody, to another installment of Speaking with the Village. Josh Kent reporting here from the JMC offices. And I have an awesome and special guest with us today. She is the new program manager out at the Girls House that we have, Emergency Placement Team Girls. We have Miss Ariana Farmer. Hi, Ariana. Thanks
Hello.
for joining us today.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about your experience with JMC, with foster youth. What do you do out there?
I'm the program manager. It's still new. So right now I'm just emailing social workers, talking to the kids, calling social workers. I have to call a lot of people now. So it's a little awkward. But I started with JMC in 2019. I started by working with visitation during the transport to the parents, the kids, transporting the kids. And then I started working at the Girls House as swinging graveyard, I believe. And now I'm here 3 years later. Da, da, da.
Yes, I love that about JMC. We always, encouraging growth and making growth happen. Ariana's a great
For sure.
example of that. She's always a writer.
Oh,
and
you do CPA too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You do that. You do a little bit of everything. So she's always willing to help.
I forgot about that.
This being one of those things, changing in my guest live the last minute. Ari is like, "Yep, I'll help you out. When does it need to happen?" So we appreciate that about Ari here, and she's always a great help and support.
I try.
So you do great. And sorry if there's a little delay for you, Ari, and for the guests. She's out in Yelm. We have a nice, beautiful ranch out there, but unfortunately, Wi-Fi does not always get out there that well.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Yeah, kids hate it, and we are okay with it because sometimes they need to get off those screens and be a little active and be outside. So. It's good. Well,
Exactly.
Miss Ari, I know you have a lot of experience caring for these kiddos, but also I know you're a really great kind of level head in the house. You make sure that people are doing what they need so that they can grow. So what kind of drives that balance that you have between being compassionate and kind of being that authority figure that a child needs?
I think giving them options to do something that's like minor in the moment, but like could work out in the long run. Like we have daily chores, and obviously some kids don't like to clean, which is fine, but at the end of the day, it needs to get done. So it's like, okay, well, you can do it now, or you can do it like in 30 minutes or like in an hour. So that way they're still getting it done, but it's kind of at their own pace. So they don't feel like forced or pressured to do it right then and there. So definitely giving them options, and then just being willing to listen to them. Sometimes they just need to talk. But then you just listen, and then you're like, okay, do you feel better? And they're like, yeah, I don't need anything else. I'm good now. They just go along their merry way.
Yeah, that's great because so many of these kiddos don't have a whole lot of control in their situation. So giving them that a little bit of control in that time, and these kids, all these teens, what do they want to be? Grown. They want to be adults and doing all these adult things. So give them a little bit of that decision making that is adult like, but not quite to that level that they think.
And that little bit of freedom. Yeah, a little bit of freedom because we have all this property outside, so they can like, okay, you can go walk or you can go play the Wii. So you're not like, you don't feel like we're being like hawkish, but we're like checking in every 5-10 minutes, but we're not like standing quote unquote over you. I don't like standing over kids because y'all need space at the end of the day, and I don't want to hover and kind of like micromanage or be a helicopter parent. So
yeah, you don't want them to be too sneaky, and you don't want
some
of these teens are smelly too, so you don't want them to be too close to them either.
Exactly. Setting boundaries, physical and personal.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's so key too. What's your favorite thing about working with these teens?
They're really fun. They keep me young and hip. Teach me the new slang words and what's going on in whatever little drama circle that they used to be in.
Right?
So
Yeah.
they're willing to share, honestly, if you just listen and are open.
Yeah, it's like, and then especially if you're willing to make a fool of yourself and do the TikTok dances or whatever, with them just so they can practice once they get their phone back, they're like, oh, do the TikTok things with me. And it's, keeps you young. I totally feel that. I love that too.
Yeah. They're always surprised when I know like a TikTok reference. I'm like, listen, I'm not that old or disconnected. Thank you. But
we still have the internet.
Am I as connected as them? Probably not.
Yeah.
Exactly. I got the apps.
Well, it could be a tough gig dealing with these teens in foster care. What do you think that, one of the toughest myths that you hear about like teens in foster care that, they kind of either feel about themselves or maybe that the world feels about them?
A lot of them, we just had one leave not too long ago. She would always describe herself as a bad kid, and she was with us for a while, and she didn't exhibit. I think that's the right word I want to use. She didn't show basically like any abnormal teen behavior. Like teens are going to be who they are. They're going through like life changes. They're going through trauma, especially if they're with us, and they're just going through a lot in the moment. And some of them don't have good emotional regulation, but a lot of them describe themselves as bad kids, and in reality, they're really not. They just weren't dealt the best hand in life and have to deal with the consequences and of other people's actions at the end of the day, really. It's very rarely solely the kid's fault as to why they're in care. So they kind of just have to deal with the repercussions of parents' decisions, of an adult or guardian's decisions that impacted their life.
Yeah, that's why that control and giving them those options are so powerful, because they're like, well, I don't know what that's all like, or or they feel like they have, once they're put into care, they have no control, and it's taken completely away from them. Yeah. So I think JMC does a great job of kind of dispelling that myth, for them. They think, oh, I've lost all this control. It's like, well, no, we can still give you a little bit here and there as much as we can. We're not going to let you, run wild, but what good parent wouldn't? Would, right?
Exactly, because like we still have like the consequences or whatever. So like if you're saying something inappropriate or like insensitive, we like you have to do a report rather than losing like an outing or like something fun to do.
Yeah, exactly. Let them grow from the experience. Don't be another person, another adult taking something away, saying you can't have this, you can't go here. Yeah, it's got to be about growth overall. And we as an organization show that with our employees, and hopefully, our kids could come away with a little bit of that too within themselves.
Yeah, and just being transparent about like, well, this is the process. If you want to go back home to like live with your parents, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight, and we're here to support you in that process, but we can't do all the work for you. So, what are you willing to do? This is what we can do. So give and take for sure.
Yeah, it's about being a launching pad, not a crutch. It's about really setting them up for that success. For real, not just kind of pushing them along to get where we want them to go. It's really make it their own journey.
And helping them realize they can have like the future they want, whether that be going to school or just not following in their parents' or guardians' footsteps. Like something as simple as that, like, oh, I want to graduate high school. That's great. How can we help you get there? That type of stuff. So taking the little steps as victories, even when there are setbacks.
Yeah, because they're bound to happen no matter who you are. Setbacks happen, and we got to instill resilience with these kiddos, because they've been dealt a tough hand and they've been put through a lot. So kind of showing them where we've been and what we can offer as just a suggestion can be real powerful, because they might not have ever gotten that.
Yeah.
Well, In terms of their needs once they come into care, sometimes they don't really ask for a whole lot or say a whole lot, but what do you see as some of like the most common needs of a teen that either is just coming into care or maybe one that's been in care for a while? Do those kind of differ? How do you see that?
They definitely differ for like the kids coming into care. Typically it's like they're not used to like stability or like a schedule. So I think that stability and us having a program schedule definitely helps them just kind of know what's going on. And I will say that regardless if they're new to care or have been in care, they always have some sort of underlying anxiety about what's going to happen next. So they'll always be asking, oh, what time is it? What are we doing? Where are we going? How long is it going to take to get there? Yada, yada, bada bing. So having the patience to like constantly answer those questions almost every day, almost every hour is a lot. And so we provide like clocks in the rooms or like other options. Like here's a little journal. You can keep a schedule of what we do day to day. You can copy it down or we can make you like print out a copy if you need it. Most of the time they just write down like, okay, this is what we did. This is what we did. This is what we're going to do on this date at like the end of the week. So they like to kind of plan and prepare. But for newer kids, I would just say more so like the stability and also like the transparency because they're new to the situation and letting them know like, I don't have all the answers. There may be answers you may not like eventually, but this is just how it kind of is. But I can try to help. I can help get through it, but I can't fix it if it's not like in the house, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it does. But with kids that have been in care, for a while, they know how it works and they just need someone to care. Because most times they feel like other adults or people don't care about what they're saying, what they're thinking. And they just need someone to care and someone to listen to them and like genuinely listen and not provide answers or even solutions and just be a listening ear, a sounding board really. And that's what we can provide for them. And sometimes those kids that have been in care for so long, switching from social worker to social worker, they'll need an advocate. And that's where staff comes in. That's where I come in. We can be that advocate to the social worker. Like, well, this kid is saying they want to get their GED. How can we help them get there? This kid is saying they want to do this, this, and this. Let's look into extended foster care, see if they qualify now rather than wait till later. And a lot of kids, 15, 14, they want to start looking for jobs. So we're like, okay, well, legally, you can't work yet, but we can definitely help you fill out some applications and work on your resume if you want to, like teaching them those life skills, particularly the older teens that haven't been taught that, like money management and all that stuff, and just how to live within your means. Because a lot of them, they have these big dreams, which they can reach, but turning 18, you're not going to have a brand new car. You're not going to have a brand new apartment fully paid off. Like helping them face reality, but also helping them reach their dreams.
Yeah, these kiddos in care definitely have kind of a distorted reality of what is common or stable or the expectation. They've expected some of these people to maybe not be as adults to not be super transparent with them, or just kind of they may think they're taking advantage of them or one way or another. And I think that's just so crucial too. What you said is just being transparent and saying, hey, this is the hand we're dealt, and I'm showing you how we can play it. But it's ultimately up to you. You got to be that catalyst. The staff can provide all these resources. They just gotta, the old lead a horse to water, can't make a drink. You can lead a team to resources, but you can't make them establish life skills.
Exactly. Yeah, and having those like honest one-on-one conversations really does help. Just them like think of things bigger than themselves, because they're like, oh well, like a lot of them have counseling, like the youth that have been in the system. Like I just don't feel like it works, and I always tell them, well, a lot of counseling is doing the work outside of the office. So you can have the meeting, you can have 3 1-hour sessions in a week, but if you're not willing to do the work throughout the week, it's not going to really work as quickly as you're hoping it to work. So, yeah.
Shoot, I mean, that's good advice for everybody. You know, we can we could all take that into some degree too, especially working with these kiddos. It's not just being there for birthdays and vacations, but being there to in the tough times too, in the times that they have those snarky behaviors, and being a teen. And in all reality, that's what it ends up really being.
Yeah, really. Like, this is typical teen behavior.
Right.
Ain't nothing
like,
too new.
Yeah,
believe it or not, I was once a teen.
Right. It's funny. It's, I feel like I'm responding to some of the things and then the others not because of the delay, but we're making it work. We're bringing the energy, bringing the positive vibes.
It's working.
It's working. So to wrap us up here, though, Ari, what is one thing if you were to tell parents that are kind of hesitant about being like, well, let's make the cutoff 14 or 13. You know, let's not take the older kids when they're starting their fostering journey. What would be something you would want to tell those prospective parents?
Honestly, don't know. No. Yeah, I think in reality, if you're wanting to cut that cap off at 13 or 14, if you're really truly wanting to care for this child in the long run, they're eventually going to be those older teens. So how do you want to affect the teens, period, for them to be better people when they get older? I don't think it really matters a specific age. If they're like, oh, they're 13 compared to like a 16, 17-year-old, they could still, like, behavior-wise, they could act older, they could act younger. It really just depends. But you have to think, do I want to really work with this child for the long run? Do I want to care for them for the long run, through thick and thin, and through their teen behaviors and their teen years? Because we all know teens aren't the most rational people most times. So why are we expecting them to be such when they've gone through so much trauma? So it's just make sure you just want to be there for them for the long run. And if not, just do the best you can while you have them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, only takes a moment to make, a lifelong impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear the geese outside? They're all quiet. Yeah. But yeah, we've had teens, like a 17-year-old. She turned 17 with us, and we've had her. It felt like we had her for about 6 months. It really, really did. But before she came, like, she was like, I'm not entertaining the thought of school, period, because she hadn't been in school for, I think, years at that point. But with us, she was even just entertaining the idea of getting a GED. And we set up the program, but she just didn't. In my deepest heart of hearts, I don't think she knew how to stay focused long enough because she didn't have a lot of hope for herself. And we had all the hope for her, and it just didn't end up working out. But you can hope for people, but still help them in the long run. So I think in the long run, she will end up doing what she wants to do and getting the GED that she wants to get. It's just going to take her time, and that's fine. So providing them the resources and being okay with the timeline they set for themselves.
That's perfect. Yeah. I think that's you gotta let them come to that decision themselves to a degree. Yes, you can't make a kid do anything. Nothing you can't make them do it. Yeah. You can't make them decide. They have to come to it on their own decision. And really feel the support continuously and without delay or stop or any break in there. And that's what's really going to be the most powerful thing for.
Yeah. And what I noticed with older teens, they tend to try to push the envelope a little bit more because they're used to adults and just people giving up on them in general. So they're trying to push the envelope so people can just give up on them quicker and they can go back to what they're used to. And when you really stick it out with them and you're like, okay, well, I'm listening to you. I'm understanding you. What do you need from me? And you're willing to have that open conversation. They're like, oh, wait, you're trying to help me? Excuse me? And then they're kind of taken aback. but then they're willing to accept the help.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how much persistence can really pay off, and how 1 week at a time is really a mentality that does pay off, one day at a time. Just bringing that same attitude, that same vigor of hope and of love and support is just what's truly important. Well, thank you, Ari, for joining us. Sorry, there's a little delay, or it was kind of a silly conversation, but I always enjoy conversations with Ari, and she's a great resource for these teens and for that house. I'm so excited to see the great kiddos that come out of there and the growth that happens. So thank you, Ari, so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, everyone, for joining. Technology could be the bane of us sometimes, but it can also really support us. So I was glad to be able to talk with Ari today and bring the experience of caring for a teen to you. So if you're ever curious about joining JMC's Village, please just reach out to us at jmckids.com, or I have my email right there listed, jkent@jmckids.com. You can reach out to us if you're just curious about how you can help these kids in foster care. There's a lot of ways to help, and it's not just fostering long term. So please reach out. Hope everyone has a blessed day. Thanks for joining in.